Alright, welcome back to the Caribou Data Science channel. This is part 2 of how to use DuckPlyr to work with and DuckDB and Duckplyr in R to work with the Parquet files. And as the old ad line goes, it's not butter, it's Parquet. That's by Parquet, but that's okay. It's not butter, it's Parquet. And you remember from our last episode, we created a sample database, and then we copied the data up to a data frame, created a table called people, but then we used a table and a con function to actually query the database. And of course, using the pipe commands, we ran the select command against the table here, using nothing more than the table and the con function. Okay, so tonight, we're going to up our game a little bit. We're going to take a look at the New York City Yellow Cab data for the first 5 months of this year. Okay. As you'll see, there's a couple of things we can do. There's actually another DuckDB function we can use to actually create a database directly, or create a table, a data frame directly from a Parquet file. And we can also use that same copy command to copy up all the data to a new table in the database without actually reading the data into the R itself. Okay. So you can see over here, here's our libraries, of course, tidyverse, DBI, DuckDB, Duckplyr, and Arrow. So we run this, load this data here. But our purpose is not to actually import the data directly into our environment. We want to call the data to. We're going to use the Duckplyr to query directly the DuckDB database. Okay, so here we go. Let's create a new database connection. Okay. Now, one way to do it is we come down here. Okay. Use this function right here from the DuckDB package. So we're going to create a data frame directly from a Parquet file. Let's just import one sample here. So let's go ahead and import January this year. This. Now you notice it takes a few moments to actually get for this to be correctly updated, okay? Because it's got the number of columns, but it doesn't know how many tables there are yet, okay? So we could do something like this very simply, okay? We could say, we could just do something like this then. All right? So you can see we got the data here. We also got a timestamp. I'll just mention up front here, our stakeholder is only interested in numbers by the day. They don't care about hours or minutes, only by the day, okay? So we got a very simple thing right there, okay? So we can come up here. Now what we want to do is, notice we can see the data here also, okay? Now my guess is it's probably still calculating the number of rows, okay? As you can see, it's taken a minute to actually display the columns there. So now we can come up here. You can see now we got the columns correctly, okay, but we still don't know the number of rows. So now I'll come over here. We're going to say, let's just call this sample thing taxi rides, taxis, okay? So now we're going to write this this table, our data frame, directly to a table called taxi, okay? Look at this, table to SQL, okay? So that's finished. Now we're going to come over here. Come down to here. Just so you can see there's nothing up my sleeve. Okay. Change this to taxi. Do a count. And you can see we got 2.9 million rows a day there. So now that means that we got the data. But the trouble is, we want to import all the data for the first 5 months of the year directly into the table without loading the data into our environment, okay? Now this can take a couple seconds to do, okay? Let's just call this yellow cab. Okay. So what we're doing here, we're embedding our dplyr command here into our copy command, and we're using a wildcard to say include everything in this directory that ends with Parquet. Now again, this is going to take a couple minutes to do. You can see it automatically recognized the columns there. Let's come back up here now. Uber date. We're going to create a table called Yellow Cab. here. We're going to use the year date function from tidyverse. Alright. And you can see it still hasn't calculated the total number of okay, so that's finished. This is interesting. So we're trying to add a column called ride date, okay? Now it's kind of interesting. It's acting as if it's basically eating up all my memory. Okay? Because you don't see the mouse anymore. So let's shut this down. Fortunately, I just saved everything, right? Yeah, I think what happened was it just was using all my memory up. Which could be true if I'm loading the data into memory rather than directly into our environment. That could be a problem, right? But the good news is our database should still be intact, okay? We can check that very quickly. Of course, you know, I suppose we should have done some data wrangling first, and then, you know, well, it's hard to say. The idea is to use the DuckDB to actually do the heavy lifting for us. Okay, that's really the purpose of importing it directly into the database rather than into the R environment. Because remember, R does everything in memory. Okay, so that could be the problem, because I could use a lot of memory. Because what it probably had to load the data into memory before it uploaded it to the database. So it probably just ran out of memory. Okay, we're almost back up, as you can see. The camera is still rolling. So we'll quickly check our database, make sure the database isn't corrupted. And also make sure we got our data. The data is actually there. There should be about 16.9 million rows, I think, or something like that, or 16.8 million rows roughly. It's taking a minute to get, notice it's taking, there it is. We're here, do a quick check on our database health here. se.ucd. There's our table. Let's just do a quick count. Yes, so 16.8 million rows roughly. Okay, good. Let's close that, open up R. And what we're going to do is, we're going to create a quick summary table by day for the stakeholder, okay? It's going to be the count of the rides, the average number of ride time per day, and the total ride time per day, okay? So it's going to be an average and a sum, a mean and a sum. It takes a minute to load up here, of course. We're getting there. By the way, if you haven't noticed, I'm actually running this inside of a virtual machine. So I got my Windows 11 laptop with 16 gigabytes of RAM and an i5 processor on it, and I'm running VMware right on top of it with another Windows 11 box running in that, and I'm assigned 24 gigabytes of memory, okay, of the 36, all right. So we load the libraries, connect our database, then use our table command to extract some data. There we go. Takes a few minutes to load, doesn't it? Sure, it's taking a long time to load. So, okay, so we're back here now. Very good. Okay. We don't need this anymore because we already demonstrated that. Don't need that. Don't need this. We actually don't need this here because we've already verified that it's there. We come back down here now. And this is where we're at. All right. So now we're trying to create a table here. The first thing we want to do is we want to get rid of the okay. This may not work, but we'll see. Let's take a look and make sure we know what's going on over here. We're just going to do a quick summary on the I'm going to come down here. Let's see. Hopeless. Of course, I'm not really sure this is even going to work, but we'll see. So let's see what happens here. Because what we're doing, again, at this point, the data, we're not actually loading all the yellow data, all the calc data into our environment. What we're doing here is that we're directly querying the database using the R language and DuckDB. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Interesting. This is interesting. I certainly hope they haven't changed the rules on me here. Let's come down here then. Did you get rid of summarize and tidyverse? I wonder if they're I wonder if they got rid of that somehow. Interesting. That should be part of. That should be part of. That should be part of. Of. Of tidyverse, right? You know, it could be that okay. You know what it could be? It could be when I run that delete, it actually cleans the entire environment out, including loaded, including loaded. I have no idea what most of this stuff was. Good grief, what is all this stuff? Okay. What we're going to try to do is this. I think what's happening is when I run, because I run this down here, this completely cleans out the environment, okay? So what we're going to do is, we're actually going to run this first, okay? See, I don't know what that is there. Now it's possible okay. Well, I think I'm going to call it a night. The good news is we did get our data uploaded to the database. And we figured out we needed to and we can try this. Worst comes to worst, we'll run the we'll create the ride using a standard function. Let's just try this here now. So that ran. Oh, but it didn't convert it into a table, did it? I need to do a connect. That's probably what the trouble was. That's what the trouble is. I need to do a collect. Probably before I do the select. Right? Well, let's try this again. Because what it's doing, it's not. It's creating a list and not a database, not a data frame. What happens if we put the collect first? Now this could take a minute or two to change all, because at this point we are downloading the data as a data frame, which is what the collect does. The collect converts from a list that you can see up there, a list of 2, to a data frame. Of course, the other way I could do it, it'd have been quicker to go in and actually create actually cast the tape, actually created a new column called in the SQL. Okay, we could have gone in, we could have created a table with a new with the date cast and saved ourselves all kinds of trouble. Okay, but then you wouldn't get to see me suffer here, because it's like I say, it's going to take a couple minutes for it to actually convert all that data, because it's pulling down the data, convert it to data frame, then it uses the mutate function to create the ride date. Okay. Now, if this was just, a one-time report, okay, and the client only wants they want a database with a single table with the number of rides by date, you go in there and you would open up this DuckDB shell and import the data directly in there in like 10 seconds. Okay, 10 seconds. Okay. Then you could create a view using the cast function in a view to create a ride date, and then the client's all set. Okay. And then we could create a second view, but at that point, calculating the information by day. But you know what? This is the path we chose, so this is what's going to be. Tell you what, I'm going to bring this session to, okay, so it's saying I can't do this. It's saying we can't do that. So you can see there's a problem with the format. As that, my dear friends, I've tortured you enough for one night, but we did make some progress. We did get the data uploaded to the database, right? Thanks so much for your time. There will be a part 3 once I figure out how to get this date function to work, all right? Thanks so much for your time, folks.